Center. Our Kisa Andera is live for us there. Kisa, how many results are in so far?
Sophia, we're looking at 19 polling stations out of the 183 polling stations. The turnout so far, according to, of course, the results that have already been populated, is 3.06%, as what you can see on your screen currently. 3,626 valid votes, 13 rejected votes, and 3,626 votes cast. Let's quickly take a look at who's leading the race from the 18, or rather 19 polling stations that presiding officers have already brought in the results here at the tallying center. Okoth Bernard Otieno with 2,293 votes, leading that pack of 24 candidates in this particular race. Wanyama MacDonald Mariga following with 762 votes. Owalo Eliud Okech for ANC with 492 votes. And for Ford Kenya, Hamisi Butichi Ramadhani with 19 votes. And of course, the list continues with Opondo Okoth Abraham with 14 votes. You can actually see that Bernard Okoth Otieno with from the 19 polling stations there, taking an early lead, and of course followed there closely by Jubilee's Wanyama MacDonald Mariga with 762 votes. I should mention that there's a long queue outside for presiding officers who brought in results from the polling stations, one by one, checking into the clearance desk where, of course, they're cleared that they have brought in the prerequisite material that they went out with from the ballot boxes, as I mentioned earlier, to the booths, to the KIMS kits, and of course, most importantly, the Form 35A that the returning officer here is heavily relying on to announce the results. A very long queue. Currently, we are seeing the number of presiding officers coming in, of course, increasing as opposed to what we saw between from 8 a.m. when we began this coverage from the tallying center. But of course, let's just quickly take a look at who's at the tallying center. Of course, IEBC officers who need to be here looking at the results, and they're the people who will give us the final numbers. They're also politicians. We can actually just see who makes the crowd, politicians from various parties across board who are keeping vigil here, of course, guarding their votes. There are various agents for various parties, as I mentioned earlier. Each candidate is allowed about 5 badges from information there from the IEBC. Each candidate allowed 5 badges. And of course, they decide who really comes into this particular tallying center. And we also have the chief agent from each particular political party who also is in charge of ensuring that they are the eyes and the ears on the ground. What you can actually hear right now is the returning officer just giving us the results from the 20th polling station. Let's quickly listen to that, and I'll continue with the commentary.
Award 0, Temiat 1, Kasim 1, Katiwa 1, Kengara 0, Hamisi 0, Mwema 0, Nyakundi 0, Nyamwamu 0, Ochieng 0, Owiti Ochieng 0, Odanga 0, Ogongo 0, Okidi 0, Okindo 0, Okoth 101, Ondieki 0, Opondo 0, Owalo 8, Twahir 0, Wanyama 95, Winja 0, valid votes cast 208. Total registered voters 627, rejected 1, rejection objected 0, disputed 0, valid votes cast 208. Asante Omondi.
Well, those are the results from the 20th polling station out of the 183. Once again, of course, the numbers have changed. Bernard Okoth Otieno, or Imran, 2,545. Wanyama MacDonald Mariga at 782 votes. Owalo Eliud Okech for ANC, 512. Hamisi Butichi Ramadhani at 20 votes so far. Those are the latest numbers from the 20th polling station. The presiding officer just brought in the results from the 20th polling station that have just been announced there by the presiding officer. And of course, she has assistance. It's quite quite a task here, quite an involving task for the returning officer, rather. And of course, they need to remain very vigilant. We have observers who are in here just taking a look at how is the process so far? Remember, the observers, as Haki Africa mentioned, have been here since yesterday, taking a look at how this entire process is concerned. We had the executive director of Haki Africa, Hussein Khalid, say since 2017 there have been questions around how the IEBC conducts elections, and this opportunity has presented itself for somehow IEBC to prove to Kenyans that indeed they are able to conduct free and fair elections, whether presidential elections or constituency elections. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a big deal. This is a big deal for all the political parties, Talk Jubilee, ODM, you name it, ANC, Ford Kenya, because it sets the stage for new alignments and realignments in the political space. Remember, we're now having conversations around the BBI, and a possible referendum, and of course the 2022 elections. This particular race or mini poll sets the stage for that. But quickly, results from the 21st polling station. Let's listen.
Katiwa 0, Kengara 0, Hamisi 0, Mwema 0, Nyakundi 0, Nyamwamu 0, Ochieng 2, Owiti 0, Odanga 0, Ogongo 1, Nokidi 0, Okindo 0, Okoth 99, Ondieki 0, Opondo 0, Owalo 11, Twahir 1, Wanyama 127, Winja 0. Total valid votes cast were 241. Registered voters were 627. Rejected 1. Disputed 0. Thank you so much, Mwalimu Victor Wanga.
All right, those are results from the 21st polling station out of the 183 polling stations. Bernard Okoth once again at 2,646 votes. McDonald Mariga at 877. Elidowalo at 520 and Hamisi Butichi at 20. I'm quickly just reading through the first four in this particular race from the 21 polling stations that have already brought in their results through the presiding officers in all of these polling stations. As I mentioned, we have a big number of presiding officers who've made their way here, bringing in the results from the polling station, and of course to just ensure that they are cleared by the returning officer here, and not just the Form 35A that we're talking about. We're talking about the ballot boxes, the ballot papers, the booths, the KIMS kits, to ensure everything is in order, and of course before they announce the results. Definitely going to be quite a night, because at this point it's 10 p.m. We've only had results from 21 polling stations. It is believed that we'll be here for quite a while, maybe around 3 a.m. or thereabout, before we can get the final results of who would take over from the late Ken Okoth, who of course won this particular seat both in 2013 and in 2017 by a large margin. Let's quickly take a look. In 2013, the late Ken Okoth won with 41,047 votes, and in 2017, through the ODM ticket, he won with 63,354. These numbers, of course, will not be what we will expect to see in this particular by-election, because over and above, in almost all by-elections, there's always the issue of voter turnout. Kibra is not an exemption. A lot of people involved, or stakeholders involved in this particular race, have raised concern over the voter turnout that was seen to be very low, especially for such a highly charged and high-stakes election of all the by-elections that have been conducted since the 2017 general elections held in the country. So, of course, we'll be seeing, even with the low numbers, who'll be taking over from the late Ken Okoth. Would it be his brother, Bernard Imran Okoth, who's largely been seen as a handshake candidate, who's got immense support from not just his party in ODM, but we've seen people or leaders from the Jubilee side also support heavily Imran Okoth, saying that they should be allowed to support whoever they want to see. We've seen those from ANC also heavily support Imran Okoth, but let's quickly listen to the 22nd polling station results, then we'll get back to that.
0, Katiwa 0, Kengara 0, Hamisi 4, Mwema 0, Nyakundi 0, Nyamwamu 0, Ochieng 0, Owiti Ochieng 0, Odanga 0, Ogongo 1, Okidi 0, Okindo 0, Okoth 132, Ondieki 0, Opondo 2, Owalo 55, Twahir 0, Wanyama 54, Winja 0. Total valid votes cast 248. Registered voters in the registrations in the polling station 291. Rejected ballot papers 0. Rejection objected 20. Disputed votes 0. Valid votes cast 248. Asante Mark.
All right, results there from the 22nd polling station here at the Nairobi City County Inspectorate, the official tallying center for the Kibra constituency by-election process that began at 6 a.m. when voters took to the polls. I should mention that McDonald Wanyama Mariga has now moved to the 1,000 mark with 1,004 votes. Okoth Bernard Otieno at 2,745 votes. Owalo Eliud Okech at 531 and Hamisi Butichi remaining at 20 votes. We still continue to keep vigil here. Of course, just looking at how the results are trickling in. And of course, the security around here is very tight. IEBC officials seeming to be doing their job, very keen on the numbers. But of course, we will be reporting of any incidents or any eventualities in this particular race. I mentioned several leaders across board have made their way here, are watching keenly. The country is watching. Kibra is setting a stage, and we'll be here to report it for you. Back to you, Sophia.
Indeed, Akisa, thank you very much. Live for us from the tallying center, 22 polling stations now having their results officially announced by the returning officer. There are 22 out of 183. So in as far as the official result and that final result, still quite some way to go. But definitely it will be burning the midnight oil tonight for the officials there and the politicians who are gathered as well, and also the residents of Kibra to know who will be representing them in the national